Knox Beats Production.
Hello and welcome to the Crazy Poultry Inc. podcast. I am your host Ian Gaio Loco Novak, and with me is a very special guest. You may have seen him on our one episode so far of Pit of Horror, Mr. Russell Myers, or as they call you, Big Daddy.
How's it going, everybody?
Pretty good. So it's about 5 months or so till the Halloween movie, so how about we talk about Halloween? It's never too late to talk about Halloween.
Oh, never too late. It's always a perfect time.
You're always in the mood to talk about horror, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the whole concept of this is we're just going to be going through the Halloween franchise as much as possible. But just really quick, give us, or even me, how did you first come to Halloween, the very first one? Introduced to it.
Actually, my cousin brought me into the horror movie scene when I was 5 years old, and Halloween, the 1978 John Carpenter, was my very first horror movie. Mm-hmm. And after that, I was stuck on horror, personally.
As I've told you and Nick, I did not get into horror till much later, which I feel like I have more appreciation now for some of them. Halloween was always around me, but I never watched it because I thought that it was going to be too scary. And also, I just felt that a lot of horror movies were really dumb and stupid. It wasn't until I finally then sat down and watched Halloween that I realized, oh, nope, there's actually more to this. Yeah. So that piqued more of my interest and more that I have found good horror. I always have to say this, good horror, because there's so much bad.
Oh, yeah.
But this was definitely a long and continuous and weird franchise, to say the least.
Yeah, there was, the ups and downs of it. Like, when the Season of the Witch came out, like, everybody dogged on it for the longest time. Like, yeah, it's not really about Michael, but if you notice, if you pause it at the right time, when the kids are sitting down with their parents, you see the very first Halloween on the actual TV screen. Yeah. And Michael's about to go kill a PG So's character after she flashes him and says, "You like what you see."
Yeah. Well, so let's start with the very first Halloween, 1978 or 9?
Yes.
Yeah. Directed by John Carpenter, produced by Deborah Hill, who happened to be his wife also.
Yes.
Box office return on that was $65 million on a $225,000 budget.
Yes.
That's a profit of $64 million.
Oh, yeah.
That is quite a significant thing for the studio. And it still holds a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, or Tomatoes, however you pronounce it. I don't think there's a lot we can go into that people have not about this and why it's great. To me, the standouts are still the directing, the cinematography, the music, and just Michael Myers as the character.
Some people don't know this, but some scenes where Michael in it, Nick Castle, the actor that plays as Michael in 1978, John actually let him tape some of it as well. So he was kind of, I guess, in a way, kind of in a mix of the directing, but not really.
Kind of like a co-director. Yeah, no, that's something I didn't know. If because we know we are going to give this a lot of praise, and it influenced a lot of stuff, I feel like, though, I had to dive into some stuff that I can nitpick in this, and that still, most of the acting is not great.
Yes.
Donald Pleasance and Jamie Lee Curtis aside, they are definitely the two standouts. Yes. I think I'm trying to remember the more brunette woman that gets strangled in the car, Annie. I think she's pretty bad. Yeah. And another thing, none of them look the right age. I'm not trying to disrespect or anything. You just don't look your age. Jamie Lee does not look like she's nice. And she was not his first pick.
Yeah.
He wanted a completely different actress. I don't know who that actress was.
Like, I heard it was going to be Deborah Hill's sister, supposedly. But Deborah didn't want her to get into the mix just in case she wanted to go do something else for herself.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree with a lot of critics that I have followed that thought that Donald should have been up for an award for this.
Oh, yes. Hands down.
I do think he's definitely a gigantic standout. But the basic premise of this starts with that he's kind of evil incarnate, Michael Myers is.
Yes.
It's then we get later on that they kind of change that up because I don't know that John didn't think this would really go anywhere. He had like no idea for this, and it was just a miracle that it did this well.
And some people don't know this, besides, true, like, Halloween fans like myself, but Donald Pleasence, for the very first Halloween, he actually only got $1,000. He only wanted $1,000 just to do the movie. That's it.
And I mean, I can do a little bit more research, but I don't know what else he did before this. But he definitely was a seasoned veteran, and he shows it. So, those small nitpicks aside, I still think this is definitely one of the perfect things to watch on Halloween.
Oh, yes.
No pun intended. Just for the directing, the cinematography, the atmosphere especially. So I can't help it, but I still give this movie an A. It still holds
hands
up.
down. In my opinion, like, I know Rotten Tomatoes has it at 93, but it's 100% A+ for my point of view.
Okay. So then we move on to 1981.
1981,
Yeah.
yes.
For Halloween 2, this time directed by Rick Rosenthal. Deborah Hill and John Carpenter were still producing.
Yes.
And this was right after, like, Friday the 13th and stuff like that, which is kind of what brought me to what was now been a little bit of a negative because of this. What it inspired was 80s slashers.
Yes.
To be a little bit more graphic and violent. They kind of had to implement that route with this one. Although it's funny is that Rick actually wanted to make it almost more like the first Halloween.
Yes. He wanted to do it like the first Halloween, but there again, John actually told him, there's an actual interview you can look up on YouTube, everyone, and it's Rick and John and Deborah. I can't remember. I want to say maybe Leno, maybe? Jay Leno, maybe?
The host is not important.
Yeah. And one of the late night shows, but then Rick was like, I want to do my own thing. I don't want to disturb John's personal mind of Halloween, so I want to put my little twist to it. That's what he was going through. Honestly, I liked the second one, but I thought Rick could have made it.
Well, but he said he wanted to put his own spin on. But did you know that John actually went in and added those extra gory scenes?
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's the part where I'm like, John, you kind of went against yourself there. Because he saw how big 80s slasher films were now making it with with less money and stuff, which I think is a giant detractor of what the first one is. There's no blood; it's all suspense and stuff.
Yeah,
it's still entertaining to watch. It's best to watch these films back to back so you actually feel like the whole story. But just as another quick side. This box office return was surprisingly pretty good. It was $25.5 million at the box office with a budget of $2.5 million. $23 million more for the studio, not accounting for what the advertisements or stuff was. And there was a certain decrease with the Rotten Tomatoes record. This one's at 31.
I'll give it, like, I won't give it 100, but I'll give it maybe 60 or 50%.
Is your own?
Yeah.
Well, to me, the weirdest thing is that it takes place mostly in, like, an abandoned hospital.
Yes.
When the fuck have you ever seen an abandoned hospital? What town is the... Which, another thing, it supposedly takes place in Illinois, right?
Yes.
Haddonfield.
But it's in North Carolina.
You can see palm trees.
Yeah.
Just another small little nitpick there. and the characters were not really great development also, and there was a lot of like kind of comedic stuff, like with the security guard being scared by a cat and stuff. Which, funny fact, he got killed by a hammer.
Really?
So, well, I mean, you can see that, but the interesting thing I found is that there were a number of 80s slasher films that had security guards being killed by a hammer.
Oh.
That was like a popular trend at the time, apparently. So, I think this still does a decent job. It's just those extra 80s slasher film stuff that I just am like, that's not what this is supposed to be. And the fact that John Carpenter added the extra violence is a little bit of a... I still get entertainment out of it, but it's still not up there with the first one. As far as a grade, I'm going to give it like a B, maybe a B minus.
Yeah, I'm with you, like B minus. At the lowest I'll probably go with is maybe C minus, maybe.
Okay. And so now we move on to the more controversial, part, and that is Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. Now, I understand if you are growing up around this time and you're just watching these, you are going to be disappointed, but the thing is, the original idea for the Halloween franchise was to be an anthology. Yeah. They were all supposed to have their own... Yeah. They're one kind of mistake, which is why I understand to bring Michael back for the second one, is because they wanted to make sure they could have more money to do it. And honestly, without really feeling like it, I feel like if you didn't put Halloween at the beginning of this, it would have been way more well-received and made more money. So just as a few little things, this one was directed by Tommy Lee Wallace. Deborah Hill and John Carpenter were still producing. In fact, I actually kind of liked the little techno score that they did with the Halloween
That was
thing.
pretty cool.
But this one had a box office return low of $14 million on, again, a $2.5 million budget. It made $11.5 million. And it actually has a 40 on Rotten Tomato because guess what, guys? I actually really liked this one. If you strip away the fact that it's...
it's not
Michael isn't in it, I actually think it's actually good. It has a pretty good story. The effects, actually, with the gore, are actually pretty fucking awesome.
I will give Halloween 3 that. Like, the gore and stuff was on point. Like, it was excellent. And some people don't know this, but Tommy Lee Wallace was actually Michael in H2O. He's the actor.
On up for that.
Yeah.
Did not know that. And it easily, to me, other than the Halloween theme music, it had like the most catchy thing for me afterwards, which was Silver Shamrock, 20 days till Halloween. And it ends with a pretty good cliffhanger of, I don't think we stopped this. I think all the kids are dying.
Yeah.
Which is pretty dark for kind of ending, kind of like, oh, Michael's still alive and stuff. But that was the whole thing, was that Halloween 2 was supposed to be the end, and you clearly see Michael burning there at the end. So that is why I give this even more of a pass, because it was intended to be the last one. But with the much shorter return, they felt, let's bring back Michael for the fourth film called Return of Michael. This one was then directed by Dwight H. Little. And just before we move on, my personal grade for Season of the Witch 3, which actually that's what I call it. I put it in my filmography as Season of the Witch. I don't put a Halloween there. I would actually give it a B+. Watch it. Just watch it one more time, man. Forget that's supposed to be Michael.
Yeah, I'll be generous and give it a D+.
Oh, okay. The Return number 4 had a box office return of $17.7 million on a $5 million budget, and with a 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. So here are some interesting facts that I've written down. The script was written in 11 days.
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
11 days is
That is-
way too
that's-
quick.
And with what they came up with in 11 days, which actually, if you take into account, this was almost 5 to 6 years after
Yeah.
the previous one, and some of the shit they came up with,
Yeah.
to me, it felt like a gigantic carbon copy of the first one. A lot of the recycled lines were just given. In this one, Michael escapes from being transferred to a different mental hospital after being in a coma for 10 years. Yeah, he's been in a coma for 10
Oh,
years.
yeah.
To kill his niece, Jamie. So you name the next woman Jamie, after Jamie Lee Curtis is the mother. Yep, real original, guys.
Thanks
extra,
to White.
I guess, again, extra violence was just added at the last editing process. Lori apparently dies in an accident off screen somehow, which I felt was pretty disgraceful. Donald seems like he's pretty annoyed to be in this film. Just like, he's gone. He's gone.
Let's just go, guys.
And there's there's parts where it seems like Michael Bay directed it with the explosions that happened at one point.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It did seem like a little Michael Bay version.
A little bit of trivia for you. Bobby Brady from the Brady Bunch was actually a production assistant.
Yeah,
on
it's
this.
actually on the case.
At one point, rednecks take it upon themselves to go after Michael, and they end up killing a kid. Which, woohoo, yeah, rednecks, they're best, not...
Yeah,
kills.
let's go out there and shoot after we get done drinking.
People just find everyone out of nowhere fast, which ruins the suspense a lot in this. There's a large portion where people are just waiting in a house
Yeah.
for shit to happen, and it just gets so boring. They show a severed head in that house. Not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Oh, yes.
They were really proud of that, apparently. Michael moves very slow, I noticed in this.
Yeah,
Like too slow.
like 4 seemed like he had like maybe arthritis, maybe because he was in that
I
coma.
heard one person thought it looked like he had shit running down his pants.
That might be true.
I think maybe he just had a giant stick up his butt. Towards the end, they shoot Michael a bunch of times again, and he falls in a hole, and he's proclaimed dead again.
Oh, yeah.
And then the end of it has Jamie killing Rachel's mom
Yes.
because she is her stepchild.
And Michael
That
is
is
their
already-
uncle.
That is already, to me, really stupid and out of nowhere.
Like, in a way, Dwight, I don't know why you decide at the very end, oh, let's have the little girl do something now.
Because I think that you're just kind of going with that the whole family's supposed to be crazy.
Yeah.
But they never ever establish in this that she is anyway like that. She's also wearing a clown suit most of the
Yes.
time that is really reminiscent of the first one, which is why I bring up that's a carbon copy. And then as far as the return, it made $12.7 million. That's only a 1.2 mil difference from the third.
Yes.
And it holds a 29% on Rotten, which I think is really generous. I don't think that 1.2 is much to go on if you're just going to go with an anthology series.
Yeah.
I think that really screwed the pooch there.
I'll be generous to, like, Rotten Tomatoes. I'll give it maybe a C plus and 35-45%.
See, I'm not going to be that generous because I found this pretty hard to watch because it's just a lot of shit I've already seen that's being copied, and that abrupt ending out of nowhere just really ruins it for me. And like I said, I can't find myself to watch this now over the years, so I'm going to be giving it a D. So then after that, definite success. That's the thing; these all make money. So we then get
Revenge.
the revenge of Michael. And again, one of the things with this universe and a lot of these franchises and stuff. So you end with Jamie being crazy
Yes.
and probably supposed to be the next killer on the loose or something. Let's just throw that away now.
She's in a hospital, can't talk.
Yeah. Why is she mute? That's never explained.
Yeah.
And again, they just decide to bring back Michael, that he was apparently again, a year later, he's been in a coma from a guy, I guess, taking care of him.
Yeah, with a bird.
Yeah, that was another thing that was never explained. He never thought, why is this giant man not, disintegrating in a year? And then the interesting thing that happens is he turns his wrist and he has a tattoo all of a sudden appear, which is supposed to then lead into the next part, which is the tattoo of Thorn.
Yes.
Which we'll get into later. There's a character named Tina. Who is extremely annoying.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my gosh.
I was pretty happy when she got killed, honestly.
Oh, no. She just had to go way into the movie, though. We had to stick with her. There's also apparently a talking dog in this. Sometimes the mind of a dog is heard. What?
Yeah. Yeah, Max, the Doberman Pinscher, I guess, when Michael enters Rachel's house and Michael's in there, Max was barking and Rachel was telling it shut up because, she thought it was just a dog barking.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you see Jamie rising from the bed just writing shit.
Because, of course, that's better than telling Michael's about to kill someone.
Yeah.
There are also really weird, goofy sounds in this movie. When the cops are walking away, there's like, eek, eek, eek. I was like, what the fuck am I watching? What am I hearing?
Are we watching
Am I
Addams
hearing this?
Family?
Sounds like something like a YouTube guy would edit in.
Yeah.
Rachel also seems to be very forgiving of Jamie killing your mother.
Yeah.
Let's let that go, apparently. Rachel, as you mentioned, dies 20 minutes into the movie, so yeah, great, because I didn't actually like her to begin with. Donald looks very creepy around Jamie.
Yes, he seemed like almost a pedophile.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
He's like, he wants this girl.
And he also has, we didn't mention in the last one, he has, the scars and stuff because of, the explosion. In case I'm hoping you noticed this, but what they call the Meyer house is not the fucking Myers house.
No.
It's like a mansion-looking castle.
I saw that the very first time I watched that movie when, I want to say I was 9 or 10. I was like, wait, cousin, that's not the Myers house. That's like the Addams family house right there.
And he was like, nope, apparently that's the Myers.
Yeah.
And then throughout this movie, there's a creepy man in black walking around, being very mysterious. That's actually kind of like the one creepy thing in it. I'm just like, who is that? But then I hear Tina's voice, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Again, this is one of my pet peeves with a lot of horror. There's also so many fake outs.
Yes.
And I hate fake outs in horror. One little kind of cool thing that happens toward the end is Michael has a death car at one point where he's chasing kids and stuff, which actually is kind of creepy. My thing is, who the fuck gave this guy a license?
Yeah. How'd it feel? Thank you. Or Smith's Grove, should I say.
Yeah. But that part actually builds a little bit of suspense that he actually might kill Jamie.
Or that little boy.
Which somehow he dodges the car, which I didn't understand how, but that's a whole other physical issue. Donald faces off against Michael in the house towards the end, which, did you know that when he actually is swinging that board, he actually hits the actor and breaks his nose?
Yes.
I'm just imagining that conversation.
Yeah.
God damn it!
Cut.
Surprisingly, Michael is actually arrested at the end. They let him keep his mask, which I think is kind of surprising. Jamie then makes the rounds in the hospital and sees a bunch of dead bodies, and Michael is out of the cage with fire, which, again, is another just cliffhanger ending that I'm just like,
plus,
what?
That man in black just come in there with a shotgun, shooting everybody. So
then we get into Halloween 6, Curse
of Michael.
Origin. Because go back and watch the trailers. There's also points where they're like 666.
Yeah.
So that should tell you immediately, this was plagued with post-production problems. They didn't know what to call it. This also holds the lowest percentage on Rotten Tomatoes at 6.
Oh, yes.
The editing in this movie is awful.
Yes, why? Like, I understand, especially Michael's mask.
Yeah.
You can clearly tell it's not William Shatner anymore. It's like,
I heard somebody say that they thought it was Data from Star Trek. But yeah, that opening editing is just like a freaking strobe light to the face.
Yeah.
Just like. So sorry. Jamie was kidnapped by the Thorn cult, and then it has a pregnant and with a baby.
yes.
This was definitely an interesting turn. What did you think of it?
Well, in a way, like, I thought, since they're bringing back Michael again, they had to, Jamie got pregnant somehow. Maybe from that little boy that dodged the car. I don't know. But there again, some people don't know this either, but this was actually Paul Rudd's very first movie.
That was my next thing. Coming back as Tommy Jarvis.
Yes.
In the first one. Again, the jump scares they're throwing this are too stupid.
Yeah. Like, yeah, we seen it coming. Sorry, guys. We're not scared.
The cult legend of Michael is given from the Curse of Thorn from Tommy, which is definitely an interesting take on this, since a lot of people's problems with this was that they were making him supernatural.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're at least giving him a reason. Towards the end, Donald's friend Wynn, who has a brief mention in the first one,
Yes.
is found to be the Man in Black,
Yes.
which I honestly could see coming.
Plus, some people don't know this either, but this was actually Donald Pleasant's very last movie before he passed.
Mm-hmm.
He passed away 6 months after this movie came out.
Yeah. And the Strode family are living in the Michael Myers house, which is definitely an interesting thing. John and the husband and wife are oddly enough named John and Deborah.
Yeah.
After that, which is also an abusive relationship, which I hope the similarities stop there.
Yeah.
But it definitely gets you to wanting John Strode's death to come, which, to be fair, his death is pretty fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Then
Deborah comes home and finds his head in a washer.
Mm-hmm. But Miller talks about Kara Strode, who also then ends up getting kidnapped by the Thorn cult.
Yeah.
After it's revealed, Donald, Pleasance, and then Tommy have to keep Michael from killing Jamie's baby to fulfill the Curse of Thorn. Okay. And just like most of these lately, this ending was awful.
Yes.
Because of what happened with Donald Pleasance passing away, they then decided to do reshoots because they heard apparently from 14-year-old boys that they did not like the original version.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, why are you going to ask 14-year-old boys' opinions about this? This is supposed to be a serious thriller or horror. But you want to make as much bucks as you want. That's a whole other issue. But because he passed away, a lot of his scenes were cut.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just shot this weird ending of him getting knocked out, Tommy apparently bludgeoning Michael to death.
Yes.
Which that editing part was atrocious.
It was actually pretty badass.
And then it ends with Donald saying that he has unfinished business. And then it cuts to Michael's mask with a syringe. Then you hear Donald, I guess, in the background going, "Ah!" And then it cuts to the Myers house, to a pumpkin, and then credits.
Yeah.
Every other one of these, I'm still just like, what the fuck just happened?
Some people don't know this either, but John Carpenter and Deborah Hill wanted Donald Pleasance to come back in H2O with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
But with the sad news, him passing, they just didn't want to put a Loomis character into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand that because Donald Pleasance, in my opinion, is Loomis.
Well, no, he is. This again had a $10 million profit. Actually, it's fair to say all these did,
Yeah.
because of the low budget that they all had. But the thing that I wanted to talk with you more about was that there's actually a secondary version of this film called the Producer's Cut.
And I did not know nothing about that, and I'm a Halloween fan.
Yeah. This actually has more Donald Pleasance in it because he was alive and he shot the whole thing. This is the original version. One other thing is that we see that he doesn't have the scars anymore.
Yeah.
He actually explains why. Skin grafts. Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
The editing is way better. There's none of that choppy shit that happens in the very beginning. There's actually a filling of suspense towards the end when we find out what actually happens to Jamie. She's given a proper resolution that she's killed in the hospital, not by Michael. By the Man in Black, who's then known as Wynn. Donald has way more monologue parts, which he's awesome at. Which the director of this also thought he was boring. So, fuck you right there.
Yeah.
Donald also is the narrator, which Tommy Jarvis, Paul Rudd, was in the original, which to me makes way more sense. Because we don't even know that he's in it. And then the ending is way better, which some people have a problem with, is that they use the power of runes to hold back Michael. However, if you think about it, he is now a supernatural being.
Yeah.
So, the supernatural element has to hold him back.
If not, everybody's screwed. Sorry, guys.
Wynn does actually not get killed by Michael in this. When he's trapped in the runes, he goes and puts on he's in a Man in Black outfit. And you're given the impression that he actually passes on that to Michael. And he then later runs into Donald Pleasance and makes him the new leader by passing on the curse.
That's interesting.
And Michael is seen away, again, dressed as the Man in Black. Tommy and, all of them get away. But there's now that suspense of, he is now officially his caretaker, Donald Pleasance is. So, it is just a better shot, edited character development, better resolution, better ending.
Than the actual theater version.
I would actually strongly recommend that you really check it out. It is a little bit longer, but it has more development and suspense in it. But let's screw that and let's reboot it.
Yeah.
That's what this franchise just figured out. Let's do H2O.
20 years later.
Yeah. And let's bring back Jamie Lee Curtis. Because, again, who doesn't want that?
And put him out. She had a son. That's played by Josh Hartnett. Like, I kind of like that twist, but there again, I'm like, everybody knew about Jamie. Or less.
Well, but this was supposed to be a complete different thing that
Yeah.
those previous ones after 2 didn't happen. So, in this universe, Jamie didn't exist. This was the highest at the time grossing with $55 million. Brought in $38 million, and it holds a 52% on Rotten. There are still giant portions of this that I'm not a giant fan of. It feels a lot like Dawson's Creek.
It had a drama feel to it. I'm just like, okay, we get it. Michael kills people.
Jamie feels like that she's actually done so much babysitting that she gets upset.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice. Again, there are jump scares galore in this. I'm actually a little surprised that Michael actually doesn't kill LL Cool J in the beginning.
Yeah. like you see him like creeping all up in the window after LL Cool J tells his wife, "Hold on, there's a creepy car at the gate." He goes back, starts talking. Phone line is off, Then all of a sudden you see Michael. When I first seen it, I was like, "Oh, Michael's gonna kill LL Cool J."
Nope.
You gonna get killed? You got killed by a shark, or are you gonna get killed by a? Oh no! Wait! He didn't get killed by Deep Blue Sea. He almost did, but.
I thought the only bright spots of this were the ending with Jamie actually fighting Michael.
Yes. Then.
And it ends with them toppling a truck on a cliff and her cutting his head off. So you're just automatically like,
Oh,
hey,
Michael's dead.
No more.
Then Resurrection came along and.
Because this one made money. Way more money. This one was then directed by Rick Rosenthal, who came back after the second one. Which, what the fuck happened to him? Because, simple explanation here. After Michael finally kills Laurie, which they explain how a guy apparently was not Michael, got his head cut off, which I thought was pretty ridiculous already.
Like, I understand Michael could have, why would Michael, the thing I didn't get, why didn't they show actual Michael's face? Because the guy had his mask on, but you just see Michael walking away with his knife in his hand.
Well, my thing is that he went through the car window, and then the truck then hit on top of him. How he is still alive, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And then he gets his head cut off. But after he kills Laurie in a mental institution, which I kind of thought of that as, that's like Elmer Fudd killing Bugs Bunny.
Yeah,
What the hell is he going to do now?
Yeah.
So then, they decide to make a reality show happen in the Michael Myers house.
And we have
Busta Rhymes joining this, who, to be fair, he is so bad he's funny.
Yeah. Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Then when he starts to fight Michael karate style, and Michael just kind of looks at him like, what the fuck is this?
That was actually pretty funny. I was rolling.
This one again had a profit of $2.4 million because it had a really low budget again. Sits at a 12% somehow on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Which I think story-wise this is the stupidest out of all of them. I will give it credit that to me it has two of my definite Hollywood hotties, Tyra Banks and Bianca Djokovic.
Yes, true.
Which to me is the only other reason why I would watch it. But there are so many bad things in this that are just so stupid.
Some people don't know this, but Tyra Banks actually turned down Rick.
Mm-hmm.
But he came back to her, was like, hey, because I guess her actual character storyline was going to end as soon as, he killed the dude with the camera. He was supposed to go in the garage and actually smash Tyra Banks' head into the TVs. But it didn't go like that.
Nope.
So I guess Tyra was like, oh, okay, cool, let me get killed getting stabbed or something. Yeah. Instead of facing the TV like Freddy did.
At this point, I'm pretty sure Michael is 40-something, technically. Even though he's been brought back. How does he still not know how to use a door? Again, just another stupid thing in this universe.
I just want to bust through shit.
Yeah. And this is surprisingly one of the few that still made a profit, but had such negative backlash from critics and people that they thought, let's not do another one. Let's not continue this. Which, actually, the original idea was to have, what's his name? Laurie's son from H2O.
Always forget that his character's
Josh Hart or whatever, brought back to avenge the death of Laurie.
Now that'd be something.
That idea did not get made.
Yeah, that'd be something though.
Yeah. So let's. I know there are two others, but we feel like we're crunched with time, so let's try to concise our feelings on this franchise. here are my 2 cents of this franchise. You start with a really great almost masterpiece. I'm saying almost because I can still nitpick it. One of the things you then introduce in the next one is that he's a supernatural being.
Yes.
Which, to me, immediately definitely pisses off some people, because that's what they just wanted to be the evil incarnate. You then try to do something very different with Season of the Witch, which I definitely applaud you, because I like different. But because that doesn't make as much money, then just, let's bring him back.
Michael.
Let's rehash everything that we've already seen. Already, you've kind of lost me and just extremely annoyed me. You then have one of the producer's cut of Curse, where you actually introduce something interesting to help explain why he's a supernatural being, but 14-year-old boys don't like it. Then you minus Donald Pleasance out of there, and he then dies afterwards, which I think is even more of a shot to his memory. You then reboot it, which, I mean, it was kind of entertaining, but to me it still didn't feel the same.
Like, the first reboot was pretty cool. Then the second one, I'm just like,
And then you have the ridiculous ending of this first part of this franchise. I say first part because it technically did end until Rob Zombie then takes over. My whole thought of this is the first Halloween is definitely a gigantic, thing that inspired for 80s slashers, but then because of how good 80s slashers did, that affects the quality of Halloween now, because they feel like they have to emulate that, which they were the trend starters.
Because, Freddy, Jason, Leatherface, and a couple others that came out, like The Shining. Like, some people don't count as a slasher, but I do personally.
Well, yeah, it's definitely a little bit more of a thriller to me, but as far as, like, with franchises go, like that, Chucky and all that, I have not seen all of the Chucky movies, so I don't have a concise
I have not seen the last 2 yet.
I have seen the last 2. They're not that bad.
Really?
Cult is a little bit of a mix. Curse is actually pretty decently good. Because it actually, to me, from what I've seen, brings him back to being more badass. So I'd actually recommend that to you. Of this universe that we've covered, I can sit and watch like 4 of them. So that's a decent percentage.
I can watch all of them, but like I can watch Season of the Witch, but not all the time. Maybe once or twice a year. That's it.
To me, it just starts off amazing, and then it just emulates too much from other people and doesn't try any risks. So I don't, and I want to see more risk taken. What are your final thoughts on this? Which I know you love it.
Oh yeah, I love it hands down. My top 2 for the franchise is, of course, the very first one. Then second place is kind of iffy for me, but I had to go probably with number 2, of course.
So yeah, I think I would almost say that my top 2 are 1 and 3.
1 and 3?
Yeah. Just because I have to watch the producer's cut a little bit more to get more of a feeling of that. So, yeah, guys, that's been our podcast about the Halloween franchise. I'm sorry we didn't get into the Rob Zombie one, which I know all of you really want to hear our thoughts on, but we just don't have the time for that. I want to thank Russ for joining me finally for this. Hope you enjoyed this.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully be back here soon.
Yep, because we have another Halloween movie coming out, which apparently forgets the second one now.
Well, actually, it forgets everything but the first one. This is 40 years after the first one. So I'm iffy about it.
I mean, I'm iffy about it, but I know I'll end up seeing it. Quickly plug where they can find you on social media.
Instagram at Who's Your Daddy 91, Facebook Russell YKD Mayor, and Twitter at Big Russ 91.
You can find me on Twitter at GaiaLoco89, Ian Novak on Facebook, Crazy Rooster on Stardust if you want to follow me on that. I don't give a shit about Instagram, so I don't care to give that out away. Anyway, this has been fun. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back sometime, maybe to cover the Upzami ones. But till then, see you guys.
See ya.